And the lesson that I believe Jesus is really trying to communicate to his disciples then and to us now is that the most significant aspect of our giving is not in how much we give, but in how much is left over for us after we do. Today, we're going to explore one of the most profound stories of generosity in the entire Bible. And it's a story that really shows that God values the spirit of our giving, the spirit of our generosity, more than the amount of what we're actually giving. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. And the passage in particular that we're going to look at today, Jesus is doing something very interesting. Before I point that out to you, how many of you love to people watch? Any people watchers in the room, right? You're on vacation or you're out at a restaurant, walking through, the outlets or wherever it is you might be. You're just people watching. People do some crazy stuff. And it's so fun to watch them do it. And I don't know what it is about watching people fail, like watching people fall or wreck their car, or, you go into some of the restaurants in our community and they have these video loops playing of people just eating it over and over and over again. How many of you like watching? Come on, don't be so spiritual you can't be honest in church. You enjoy that. Well, my wife and I love to people watch, and when we're on vacation, sitting on the beach, we'll watch people, and when we're out on dates, we'll watch people, and I think it was a couple years ago during the summer, we were up at Papa Doc's eating out on the deck out there and watching the boats come by, and they're playing music, and the sun's kind of setting over the lake behind us, and it was just a great night. We're enjoying a great meal, and then we see something that kind of catches our eye. These two guys in separate kayaks, but they're together. They're paddling together. They paddle across the main channel and pull into one of the little slips there in the marina that's right outside Papa Doc's. And what really caught our eye was first that they were brave enough to kayak across the main channel right there at the marina. But secondly, they were not dressed the way I dress when I go kayaking. They had on nice clothes. One of them had a polo button-up shirt on. The other one had on nice pants, nice shoes, watches, and just did not look like they were supposed to be in a kayak. And as they pull into the little slip right there, one of the dudes gets out and he walks up to the bar that's outside on the deck right there, and he orders 2 drinks. One of them's like a tall kind of martini glass, long stem glass. The other one's a shorter, kind of highball glass. And he's walking these 2 drinks down the steps, across the pier there to the slip where his buddy's waiting in his kayak, holding on to this guy's kayak. And as he goes to hand the drinks to the other guy, and as he goes to step into his kayak, he flips it. Completely I know, right? Completely misses it, splashes in the water. Aiming at the other guy, throws the drinks in the lake, tries to help his buddy. So those 2 glasses are still at the bottom of Lake Wiley right now. And he, after 20 some minutes of struggling with this kayak, he finally gets back in it, completely soaking wet and very dejected. They both just paddle off back across the lake. It was all I could do not to spit my drink out watching this unfold. It was so funny. And Amy and I not only did we get a great meal, we got some free entertainment on our date night. You're like, Pastor Jason, why are you telling us that story? Well, in the passage we're going to look at today, this is exactly what Jesus is doing. He's people watching. He's standing across the treasury in the temple, and he's watching people as they come by and line up and give their offerings, give their financial gifts. And we're going to pick up the story in Mark chapter 12, beginning in verse 1. Jesus sat down near the collection box in the temple and watched as the crowds dropped in their money. Many rich people put in large amounts, but then a poor widow came and dropped in 2 small coins. So Jesus is there. He's just watching. Apparently, he's standing there by himself. He's not really engaging with anyone. He's just people watching. And what he's watching in particular is how they all give. And he's watching after one person after the next come and puts their offering in the coffers. And he's watching rich people come, and they're giving large amounts of money, some of them dropping in loads of coins very loudly so that everyone hears the amount that they're giving, drawing attention to themselves and their pride. But then something catches Jesus' eye. Because next up in line, he sees a poor widow. And she steps up to take her turn to give and drops in 2 very small coins. If you wanted to relate these coins to coins in our day, they were the smallest coins in circulation at the time. Today, it would be like her dropping in 2 pennies. And Jesus is so moved by this, so moved by what he sees in this woman's giving, that he calls his disciples to him. He draws their attention. Hey, fellas, come here. Jesus takes this moment as a teaching opportunity for his disciples. And I believe there's great significance in that. I think if Jesus is calling his disciples to point out something someone's doing, there's a lesson he wants them to learn. And I think the fact that this story is recorded for us means that there is a lesson that we are to learn as well. So let's continue on in the story in verse 43. Jesus calls his disciples to him and said, I tell you the truth. This poor widow has given more than all the others who are making contributions. For they gave a tiny part of their surplus. But poor as she is, I think Jesus had to be Southern. Like a Southerner would phrase that way, right? Poor as she is, has given everything she had to live on. Why did Jesus call his disciples over to witness this? What was it about this widow's giving that Jesus wanted them to learn from? Well, here's what I believe it was. This is our point of impact for this morning. The lesson I believe Jesus was trying to communicate then, the lesson that I think we can learn from this story today, and that's that for Jesus, the value of a gift is not in the amount, but in the cost to the giver. Let's say it again for you. For Jesus, the value of a gift is not in the amount given, but the cost to the giver. Let me explain by pointing out 3 things about this story that stood out to me. Here's the first one. God values the sacrifice of our gift more than the size of our gift. God values the sacrifice in our giving more than the size of the gift that we're giving. Jesus sees the widow's offering of 2 small coins as greater than the larger offerings that the rich were throwing in, because she gave all she had. Though the offerings of the rich were much greater in significance monetarily speaking, it was a very small amount of their extra. They gave out of their surplus, out of the overflow. The truth is, it wasn't a sacrifice for them at all. They gave out of their abundance. In contrast, the widow's offering was worth very little monetarily speaking. Yet Jesus said she gave more than anyone else he saw give that day while he was watching, because she gave out of her need. She gave all that she had. Her gift, though small financially, was great sacrificially. And it was the sacrifice in her giving, not the size of her gift, that moved the heart of Jesus, that caused him to call his disciples over to pay attention to what she was doing. And the lesson that I believe Jesus is really trying to communicate to his disciples then and to us now is that the most significant aspect of our giving is not in how much we give, but in how much is left over for us after we do. It's in the sacrifice. It's in the cost. And a major focal point in all of Jesus' teaching, no matter what topic he was teaching on, including financial ones, the main point is that attitude is more important than action. That we can do the right things for the wrong motives, but it's doing the right thing with the right motive that he's concerned about. And that's certainly true here. The widow's sacrificial giving demonstrates an attitude of absolute trust and confidence in God.